Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. If you can hear me, I'm trying out StreamYard today, so it's a little bit different. I'm hoping the quality will be a little bit better. I don't know why it says on the other screen live in 5 minutes. Let me know if you can see me, though. I was going to talk a little bit about Rancid Buttercup's comment that they left in the chat before the stream started, but they said, oh, there we go. Cool. Everything works. Let's see. I'm going to miss today's talk. I was wondering if you or anyone watching has looked into eBay's promoted listing campaign. I get this offer, get 75% off promoted listings with a priority strategy. I haven't done a deep dive yet. So I was just going to talk about, let me see. I like this other screen just to make sure I'm live, and it looks like I am. So I just wanted to show what I see there. If I can figure out how to screen share on this new software. Screen sharing is easiest with 2 monitors. Okay. Here we go. Oh, yeah, you're right, it's easiest with 2 monitors. So I can't see my screen at all anymore. Okay, but this is what I was gonna show. Promotional offers is what Rancid Buttercup was talking about. They're saying what they have is 75% off promoted listings with a priority strategy. So these are just the offers that I have. I have 50% off promoted listings, priority fees up to $1,000, and then 50% off promoted offsite fees up to $1,000, which I haven't looked into any of those because I mean um, I'm doing fine with just the regular eBay promoted listings on site, not offsite and not priority. Priority, I believe, is pay per click, which I don't like the sound of that. But yeah, if you're selling something in really high demand that you have multiple quantities of, pay per click makes sense to get your listing above everybody else's. Something in high demand where there's others out there, the example they gave me when I talked to my eBay ads rep was like a new Nike shoe release or something was, I think, what she said, but for postcards, I really don't think you need to be using promoted offsite, or promoted priority. The priority one is the cost per click, and, yeah, the postcards just aren't in that high enough demand to where you need to pay per click to jump over people, and then promoted offsite, a lot of eBay listings get picked up and searched naturally because a lot of listings you have are gonna be the only particular thing on the internet of a particular building or street or whatever, so, in my opinion, you don't need to do either of those 2, but I also have not used them. I've only used the eBay standard on-site promoted listings, and I've had, um, yeah, good luck with that, so I never felt the need to try anything else, but I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to end that. Alright, that was actually way easier than I thought. Uh, Paul Beagle says, "All good." Yeah, hopefully I'm gonna watch this back to see how the audio sounds. Hopefully, it sounds, um, a little bit better. I don't know exactly why. The the streaming software I use shouldn't make a difference as far as audio, but I figured it would be worth a shot. Philip Biderbeck says, "Hi, everybody," in Dr. Nick's voice from The Simpsons, I believe. Laura Burke says, "Hi, Daniel." Nancy Ann, hello, hello. Philip Biderbeck says, "Have you all talked about eBay's increase in fees from 214?" I don't think I have, but yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, eBay is increasing fees from, let me see, 0.35% in most categories, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually a pretty good chunk considering, um, standard eBay fees are like, 11 or 12%. Let me see. eBay postcard category fee percentage. Okay, let's see. I don't know exactly. 11.7% maybe? Does that sound right? It's around, 11 or 12%. So the 0.35% is not the relative increase, it is the absolute increase of eBay's fees, which means the relative increase in fees is actually if you take 0.35 and divide it by 11, um, it's 3.2%. So, I think eBay's fee increase is bigger than it sounds at first. Overall, it shouldn't make a huge difference, but fees are going up about 3%, so, um, yeah, an extra and it's not 3% of your total sales value, it's 3% of what fees were before, so whatever you were paying in fees before, multiply it by 1.032, and that will be roughly what your fees will increase to. So, I mean, if you sell, let's say $1,000 a month, and let's just not look at promoted listings, just say you're paying 11%, that would be $110 per month you're paying in fees, and that would go up to about $120. So, yeah, that's how the fee increase will shake out. For me, it would be, what if I mean, these are very rough numbers, but let's say going up about $10 for every $1,000 you sell. So, for bigger sellers, if you're selling 5,000 a month, that could be 50 extra dollars a month you're paying in fees. 10,000 would be $100 extra a month you're paying in fees. So, yeah, it's definitely a sizable chunk if you think about it that way. Ashley says, "Hello, postcard pals." Hello, Ashley. Barbara, welcome to the chat. Hi there, folks. I don't know how to say the word folk. I used to know how, but now I'm, like, conscious about how I say it, and I say it like folks, which just sounds weird. Folks. I think that's how I used to say it, folks. Hey, folks, but I it's hard to say it that way anymore. I don't know why. Brad says, "Hi, everyone." Hal Ottaway is in the chat. Everybody welcome Hal Ottaway. I'm glad, you got the new link. I did make the stream originally with the old streaming software I used, but then I switched over to the new one, so glad you were able to get the new link, Hal. Alan said, "I have a new negative feedback today and 2 neutral. When I went to the buyer's feedback left for others, none had a negative or neutral feedback left. Doesn't seem right." Yeah, that's weird that the first negative or neutral feedback they leave will be for you. That's not showing up right or something like that. Okay, Alan L says, "Audio really choppy." Let me see if I can try to mess with the settings a little bit. Let's see. I have echo cancellation turned on. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Wait. Let me turn off the ads. That actually helped. Okay. I'm gonna reload the site. I'll probably go away for a second and come back. Put my that didn't work either. Uh, uh, sorry, everyone. I'm trying to figure out how to get back. I'm gonna try to leave the studio and come back, uh, if you can hear me. Okay. I am back on screen. Um, let me know if you can hear me. I tried to do something to fix the audio, but I don't know if it worked or not. Do not turn this off. Okay, improves audio clarity. Okay. Okay, yeah, let me know if you can hear me better now. I can also turn up my mic volume, which I don't know if that will help, but, yeah, let me know if that does help. I turned off I know one of the problems we had originally was the ad blocker I had on, and I think that was causing problems, so I turned that off, so hopefully we're good now. I'm gonna make sure that stays disabled. It got turned back on because I'm on the new website to stream, so it didn't remember that I had turned it off. Brad said, "Daniel, when you receive a big lot of cards, do you put them all in sleeves immediately, or do you wait until after you've scanned each one?" Good question. Yeah, sometimes when I get stuff, it just depends. Sometimes it's already all sleeved. Sometimes they're already in albums. Sometimes they're all loose. But when I get a big lot of cards, what I do is go through them and I decide which ones that I want to sell myself. And yeah, just pick those out and make sure they're all unsleeved and loose, and then I put them in boxes behind me, and I scan postcards right before I list them. So I know some other sellers scan postcards and put them in sleeves and wait to list them, but I just wait to scan them and scan them right before I'm going to list them for sale. So, I hope that answers your question. Let me know if you have any clarifying questions. Um, Hal says we can hear you better now. That's good. I did turn up my volume a little bit too, but let me know if anything sounds weird. I'll go back and listen to this when the stream's over to see how it sounded, but I think it was the ad blocker causing problems because that's happened before. Yeah, it looks like the audio sounds good now. Thank you, everyone. Uh, but yeah, I just got so yeah, thinking of Brad's comment about when you get a big lot of cards, I just got a, um, larger collection of cards from Indiana recently, and just went through all of those, and that's part of the reason why I sold some boxes a week or so ago now, but, yeah, I'm very, very happy with how things are at now because I don't feel overwhelmed like I have way too much, and, I don't feel like I have too little, so it's just right, and hopefully, it will stay that way. It's a delicate balancing act if you, sell postcards. You have to you don't wanna get too much and too many that you're never gonna have time to list them, and you don't want to be short on material either, so very happy with where I'm at right now. Alan said, "Sold a $54 cool RPPC. 3 weeks later, did not receive case open. I saw that did not scan USPS did not scan. I refunded. I opened lost mail search. A week later it arrived. No recourse. Buyer got money in postcard. Uh, I asked next comment. I asked buyer nicely for my $10 card cost, and he did. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, oh, you just asked him for the card cost instead of the selling price, I see. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, that it must have been in the middle ground where you opened a search and then the item arrived. What I would suggest from my experience, and if anyone else, uh, has different ideas, feel free to put them in the chat. This is, by all means, not the, only way to do it, but, um, what I do if a item has been missing for over 15 days is I just go straight to filing a claim, and you can do that right here, and ground advantage is included in that, and it has insurance, and you also have a relatively short window to file a claim, so, I mean, it feels a little bit short to me because I have had postcards, uh, get past the claim window, and then I have absolutely no way to get a refund, kinda like how, what happened to you. But yeah, I do it as soon as it's been 15 days, and you can only do it between 15 to 60 days after the date of mailing. But yeah, I found that for some reason they process those claims very quickly. So when I file a claim, I usually get a check in the mail for that item about a week later, and, um, yeah, I know the lost mail search can help for sure, but just to protect myself, I just go straight to the refund process since the USPS has it set up that way, and they consider anything that takes 15 days or longer to be, lost, if it's ground advantage, so, yeah, if it's 15 days and ground advantage, that's what I do, but if anybody else has any other ideas, feel free to let me know because I know things with the mail are always changing and policies and such, so, uh, definitely, not certain this is the only way to do it or even the best way, but that's what I do. Somebody earlier was talking about feedback before the, audio fiasco. Yeah, here we go. Alan said he had a new negative today and 2 neutral, and none of them had ever left a negative or neutral feedback, which definitely sounds fishy. I was gonna pull up mine because I actually had literally the exact same thing happen, not within the span of a day, but within the span of, like, a month. I had 2 neutral feedback and 1 negative feedback. I got the negative feedback removed because the buyer just complained. I mean, I was fortunate to get it removed. The buyer complained that the shipping was too long, and I was, just able to show that I shipped the item out the very next day, and it was, out of my control, but, yeah, it's if it's a feedback like that, it's pretty easy to get removed, I've found if it's related to, like, shipping speed that you don't have control over. But the 2 neutral feedback I got, I mean, I don't really I haven't worried about I thought one was kind of funny. Let me see if I can filter by here we go. Filter by neutral. Oh, yeah, one was fair, one was not. So, this the one buyer I had that left me a neutral feedback said, "I asked the seller a question, and the seller either didn't know the answer or refused to answer, and the question that they asked was, 'Did this used to be the old high school?' And it was a I can't remember what it was a postcard of. It wasn't a postcard of a high school, and honestly, I had no idea, but they didn't message me the question, they just left it in the buyer comments, and I didn't mean to not respond to them, but, like, when you leave a question like that like, the notes for "Please ship this safely" or whatever, it was just hard for me to remember to respond since they didn't actually message me, so I felt a little bad about that one, but also, I didn't it wasn't sent in a way that made it easier for me to respond. The other one was a card that had a pinhole in it that had been up for forever, and, um, it was very visible in the scan, but the buyer said I should have notated it in the title and description, which is fair enough, but yeah, it was very visible in the scan, but, they didn't leave me a negative feedback, so neutral I'm, A-okay with. Brad said, "Is putting a state abbreviation in an eBay title enough? Will, for example, a buyer searching for Pennsylvania find a card that only has PA in the title?" Good question. Let's do an experiment. I'm I'm nearly 100% sure, but, uh, why not use the fancy tools? Oh, shoot. Oh, here we go, share screen. Let's see. I think this is yeah, here we go. Let's see. Oh, so my mic cord is kinda ooh, well, here okay, here we go. Let me share my screen, present, share screen. There we go. So I just searched for Boston MA postcard. Yes, it is the software is right that it's definitely easier to share screens with multiple screens. And you can see there are 53,000. I'll just make sure it's only getting Boston. Yeah, 45,000. So, and then I'll compare that to Massachusetts, and you 64,000. So, definitely, um, yeah. I would advise putting the full state, actually, now that I see that. I think what eBay might do is, uh, only show if you put the abbreviation or sorry, if you put the full state in the title, I believe eBay shows it whether you put Massachusetts or MA, but if you only put MA, I believe they only show it if a person is searching for MA, and yeah, so if you'll notice right here in the search results, I searched for Boston MA postcard, and the first few results only have MA, and they do not have Massachusetts. But if you search for Boston, Massachusetts postcard, the first few results have Massachusetts and not only MA. I don't see any of these results that only have MA. Yeah, all of these have the full state name, Massachusetts, and you would think well, this one just has okay, that one only has MA. Okay. Yeah, it looks like kind of a mixed bag here. Yeah, I don't know what the best thing to do is, but I can tell you what I do is just put the full state name, and since eBay shows the most results with the full name of the state, I think that's probably a good practice, so, I just put the name of the full state, like Massachusetts, and yeah, some of the states do take up a lot of characters, um, like you said, but I think based on those search results, I think it's best to put the full state, and I actually just had a postcard I sold today where I was thinking it would have sold faster if I put the actual state. It was one that I listed, quite a while or, like, 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, actually, and I just put SC instead of South Carolina, and it just sold, so I had thought when I saw that one just sell, I was like, "Wow, I bet if I would have put the full state, it would have sold quicker." Um Pura Hawk said, "I just searched Massachusetts postcards and MA titles were included." Yeah, I wonder why the Massachusetts search results have more postcards, though. That tells me that when you just search MA, then, that excludes that's excluding maybe okay, I think maybe I know what it is. Okay. I think the difference in results I would have to go through all the search results to confirm this. But I think you would be just fine putting MA, but if a buyer searches for postcard Boston MA, then yours will only show up if you put the abbreviation. So actually, I might should start putting the abbreviations in my title again then. I only put the full state. I don't know how it works. Your guess is as good as mine. Uh, yeah, I but I don't think I don't know. Based on what I saw, I think you have to put and let me just search my own store because I know I have not been putting abbreviations, so I'm just gonna search an abbreviation and see if it shows up for postcards that do not have an abbreviation in their title. I'll just search MA postcard, and I'll do recently listed. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is very interesting. So, uh, maybe TN, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna start adding the two-letter state abbreviations to my title again because, um so this I'm pretty sure this is what's happening. eBay, if a buyer searches using the two-letter abbreviation and you only have the full state in your title, eBay will not show your listing to that buyer. However, if you only have the two-letter state abbreviation in your title, eBay will show your listing regardless of whether that buyer searches for the full state or for the two-letter abbreviation. I am pretty certain that's how that works. I am also going to start adding two-letter state abbreviations to my title again. Um, for some reason, I thought all you needed was the full state. Seeing that, I will, yeah, definitely be adding the I don't make a huge difference, um, but yeah, I don't think it can hurt to add the two-letter state abbreviations, and I think you could be fine only doing the two-letter state abbreviations, but I'm trying to do both, and I'm just making myself a reminder to do both. Uh, but yeah, great question, and that actually and, me making a change for all my eBay listings, so very helpful. So we're adding two-letter state abbreviations to eBay titles. 'Cause, yeah, I I won't be missing out when a buyer searches for the actual state name, but if a buyer searches for, like, Nashville TN postcard, I don't think I'm gonna be showing up in those results based on what I just found, with my eBay search. But yeah, I think if you don't have room, using only the abbreviation is fine, based on what I saw. I haven't done an experiment with every single state, so, I just did a quick one for Massachusetts, but I don't see why it would be different for other states. Homer said, "When you list postcards that are unposted, 100 or so years old, and without writing, do you put them as new or used?" Good question. Yeah, I always put used, and the only time I've put new is when I had postcards printed myself, and I sold a few of those, not many at all. Didn't have them up for a very long time at all, maybe a month or 2, but I had some, photographs that I had taken that I had made into postcards, and some artwork I had commissioned that I had made into a postcard, so that is the only case where I put new, was when I had those postcards printed myself and they were brand new, and I think most sellers do the same, um, but you do have item specifics you can use for posted and unposted. So what I would recommend doing for any postcards that you get hot off the press, just put it as used, but you can put unposted in the item specifics. Brad said, "I wonder if there's no room in the title of putting the full state name elsewhere in the description that would work." Yes, that, I know it works if you put it in item specifics. eBay doesn't always show results from descriptions. I think it's just on a case-by-case search basis, but with some searches, eBay doesn't really pull from the description, but from my experience, eBay always pulls from item specific and for search, and you can test this out by just searching for postcard. Well, actually, this would be pulling from the category, but, if a seller has, Georgia as the state and item specific, but they don't have it anywhere in their title, it still shows up when you search for a Georgia postcard. So, yes, you can do it for item specifics, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about just putting the abbreviations in there, at least for the long states. I'm sure it works for, like, Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. I would have to test other states like Georgia, because I guess GA can mean a lot of things. General admission, Grand Army. I was gonna say Grand Army of the Republic, but then I realized there's no R in Georgia. Well, there is an R in Georgia, not in GA, though. What else? I don't know what else GA stands for. Alan said, "I am going to the Muriel Martin, Dulles Airport postcard show Sunday. I emailed them to tell, the vendors I'm looking for boxes of Continentals." Nice. Marielle Martin said that you bring me some boxes. We'll advise how it goes. Cool. That's great. Yeah. I would bet you're gonna get some really nice little cards in those boxes. And yeah, great. I would say great job looking into Continentals a little bit. A lot of sellers are scared of Continentals, but Continentals don't bite, and they sell all the time. And I am always looking for good Continental postcards to look. And yeah, I don't know if Ariel Martin sells Continentals individually, but, yeah, I'm sure other dealers have some good Continentals too, but, yeah, get in now before the train leaves the station, 'cause, Continental postcards are gonna be what, uh, like, my generation and stuff collects, so, I think they will only get more valuable. And he said, "By the way, I love the Continentals you sold me." Yeah, I've mentioned it. I don't know if you've heard, but I've mentioned it a few times, um, a few times on videos. I was like, "Yeah, I gave somebody a really great deal on Continental postcards." But yeah, I definitely I have no ill feelings or ill will towards you at all, and I'm very glad that those went to you. But yeah, today I would probably keep those all for myself just because I sold all those before I really listed any Continentals at all, and, because it was just one of those things that you really like, or at least this is how it happened to me, like, when I started selling, just the traditional wisdom from older sellers is Continental cards don't sell, so I just kind of internalized that, and then even though I didn't have any experience with them myself, I was like, "Oh, Continental postcards don't sell." So, I would really not go through any I would not pull any Continental postcards to list, even though I knew I had some ones that were really neat to me because I just had it in my head. I was like, "These don't sell." But yeah, I'll get a lot more Continental cards, so, yeah. Don't tell me, but I'm glad they went to you, and yeah, I'm sure there were some nice ones there. I really do love Continentals so much more now than I did, last year, though, and, the only thing I don't like as much about them from a personal collecting standpoint is, the top loaders are a different size, and they don't fit, as neatly in other albums, or at least the albums I have, so that I don't like that as much, but, they still make top loaders for them, and, I really need to get top loaders for the Continental cards I have in my own collection. Right now, they're just mostly loose. Yeah, I love the Continental cards. I have a several that I bought myself, um, just, like, off the rack, like, of a bookstore we went to. They were selling cards of the bookstore, which I thought was really cool, and when we went on vacation last year, I bought a good number of Continentals too. It was funny because the Continentals they had at the store, I assume the postcards weren't a big seller, but they were also, like, hidden away in a corner somewhere. They weren't, like, at the checkout or anything where they would be higher traffic items, but, the printing date on those postcards, was, like, 1999 and then 2002, so they were basically vintage postcards right off the rack, and I don't know if that's, like, when they were actually printed or if they had just been printing the same design since 1999 or 2001, but I thought that was funny. Paul said, "So if you're buying a lot of postcards, what do you pay for 5,000 cards? Just a rough price." Yeah, it depends on the collection and, yeah, what is made up of the collection. If, uh It's always like a case by case basis for me, and if somebody says, "Hey, I have this many postcards, what would you pay?" I'd be like, "Well, I'd have to see the cards." But I for, uh, for non what's the best word to say here? For non-specialized collections, where a collector doesn't focus on a specific topic, and it's just kind of a wide range of cards that are also a wide range of value all the way from, what dealers would consider quarter and 50-cent cards all the way up to, cards that are $20 or more. For a collection like that, what I usually do is I try to evaluate, how many out of that collection that I will be able to sell individually, and out of those, I try to pay $1 per card. So, if I look at the 5,000 and I think, "Hey, yeah, I could sell about half of these myself, 2,500 for the collection." If it's, 20%, then I'd pay 1,000 for the collection. But that's for more broad collections where it's just a wide mix of cards, and it's not really, they more so collected it for the correspondence, or they just liked all kinds of postcards, and they didn't really have a collect focus. But for collections where they have a clear focus and they liked nicer cards, I will definitely be willing to pay more. The most I have paid for a collection, is $6 per card, and that was, it was a lot. I think it was about half or so aviation related, so printed cards, real photo cards, and then there were some other real photos, some sports stuff. That collection was one where it was very focused on a few certain areas, and he had very, very nice decent cards, so I was able to pay since I knew that there were higher dollar cards included in the collection, I was able to pay more, per card, and, yeah, so I would say and I have paid, $1 per card for a larger collection of, about 3,000 cards. I actually have 'em I I need to a lot of them are still down here, in my desk. But I in that collection, it was a large collection, uh, if it's like a really large collection, it becomes difficult to pay as much per card just because money is a scarce resource, and, if somebody had 100,000 cards and they were all, like, really uncommon little photos, it would be hard for someone to pay $5 a card even if they were more than worth it just because that would be $500,000. So, yeah, sometimes just the amount of money you have is a limiting resource, but I always try to give people what I think is a fair price. The large collection that I paid the most for it was 3,000 cards, and I paid $1 per card. Um, Obviously, there were a lot of cards in the collection, and this is with any really large collection like that, usually there are gonna be a lot of cards that are more common and not as valuable, but I knew, in this collection, there were some early baseball stuff and early Delaware, so that's, why I paid a little bit more for that one, but, yeah, I try to make it a balancing act of, um basically what I do is I try to think how much money can I give this person, without kind of screwing myself over is how I look at it, so, uh, yeah, I don't try to get things for the cheapest price possible. I just think, this is gonna be this amount of work to go through the cards, this amount of work to list them, this amount of work to research them, this amount of work to ship them, and accounting for all of that work that I'm doing, what is, like, the highest price that I can pay for that collection, considering the work I'm doing. That's how I think about it, and, I think it, has worked out pretty well for me 'cause I, yeah, I don't really have any people um that are like, "Man, I wish I wouldn't have sold you that collection," because, yeah, I have people the collection that I paid the most for was, like I said, a lot of aviation stuff, and I told her, you know, "Yeah, you could sell these cards, yourself if you wanted to do the shipping and you didn't mind doing the research, and I think you have some cards here that could sell for 50 to $100 or more, and, I think these cards are special," and, like, told her which ones I thought were special, but I can pay this amount and then, I would do the work, and she was more than happy to sell them to me, so, yeah, the kind of how I do it is I'm just upfront and honest with people if they ask me, or if they wanna know what they would sell for if individually sold, I'm happy to tell them, and sometimes people choose to sell them themselves, and that's totally fine. I'm definitely happy to help people sell cards themselves because I wouldn't want you to sell me a collection and then regret, uh, not doing the work yourself if that's what you want to do. But, yeah, good question. And, yeah, the buying collections is I think a lot of people feel this way, but for me, it's the most fun part of selling postcards because I just love the history of the postcards, and it's really like a treasure hunt finding what cards you have or like, what cards, are really good in a collection and going through it and, like, when I find, like, a really and I don't keep a large percentage of the card collections I buy, but will usually, if I buy a collection, I will keep a card or 2 for myself, because it's, like, a really nice card, and otherwise, like, I would have to pay a lot for this card, so it's like, I'm gonna take advantage of this and keep this card for my collection, but, yeah, I have a couple really nice aviation cards in my collection now, um, from that collection I bought. I have some nice, Route 66 real photos in my collection that I've been able to get from other collections. So, yeah, I just love being able to, treasure hunt like that, and, it's really encouraging when you find something like that in a collection that is really historical and just, really uncommon. I don't know what the word for it is, but when you have something that, like, not really many other people have or have seen, there's just something special about that for me, and, it's the reason why I really enjoy it. Just it feels very historical and fun and exciting. Um, but yeah, the postcard collection I have, I don't, there's some cards that I would never, ever, ever sell, like my Athens, Georgia collection, postcards from, the county where I was born. I'm trying to think. I think that's about the only ones I would never, ever, ever sell. But the rest I consider, like, if things go bad, fun. So, like, if I'm having a really things get and they've never been bad, so, fingers crossed this will never happen, but theoretically in the future, if, I was, like, really struggling or something, these would be maybe the cards that I would, sell to make money, but, fortunately, I haven't had to do that. Never Too Old says, "Hi, Daniel and everyone. Audio is really choppy today and hard to understand." I guess I'll go back to the old streaming software I was using. I thought for some reason if I tried out this new streaming software, it would be better. Um, People said it was better once I switched, and turned the ad blocker off, but I guess it's gotten worse again, so about that. I will make myself a reminder to go back to the old streaming software. Um, what is this one called? I'm using StreamYard right now, so I don't really think it's the software's problem. I really d I think it's AT&T's problem, actually, 'cause I don't think a lot of other sellers stream over Wi-Fi, and they don't have any problems. Um, so I don't think it's just the fact that I'm streaming over Wi-Fi, I think it's AT&T. And T. And I say this because not only do I have problems, um, with streaming and audio issues, apparently, I have problems with other websites, and some websites just, like, will not load on our internet. So, yeah, I apologize for the audio quality. I do not know what else to do. I can try to eventually maybe hardwire myself into the internet, but, um, yeah, that will take some time and money, or take somebody driving to Georgia to do that for me. If you are a fire person, let me know. I really thought, you know, the software would make a difference, so disappointing to hear that isn't the case, but we will persevere. Oh, actually, they have a button down here that says "Having issues." Let me click that. I'm just gonna say audio sounds that choppy. I'll say chop. Let's see, troubleshooting audio quality issues. Try a different browser. Okay. Well, I'm using Google Chrome. Disabling any extensions. I disabled my ad blocker. That's the only extension. Test your mic. I've done that. It sounds fine. Check your StreamYard audio settings. The other condition, check to make sure the correct mic is selected. Uncheck the boxes of echo cancellation, reduce mic background noise, and stereo audio, and then check the box next to automatically adjust mic volume. Okay, I'll try that. Let me see. Uncheck the box of echo cancellation and mic background. Okay, I'll go to that and then see if that makes a difference. Uncheck, uncheck, and then I'm automatically adjusting mic volume now, which they said I should do that. Uh, I don't know why. So they said these settings that I just changed were one of the things to do if I have issues. So let me know if the audio sounds any better now. Um, but yeah, other than that, I really don't. I really think it's an AT&T issue, uh, and I really don't want to call AT&T. Oh wow, somebody said better, and one person said you fixed it. So, yeah, there we go. Maybe I will use StreamYard and just roll with those settings. Oh, much better. Wow. Okay, great. Okay. So let's see. I will say use StreamYard, but turn off the. There was a background noise setting and audio cancellation setting. So I just turned those off, and it seems to be helping. So I'm just making a note of that now, so I know to roll with those settings for next week. So hopefully we don't have to do this all over again. But yeah, I apologize. I don't know why. Let me see. Start unit. Okay. Okay. We are. Oh goodness. We are good to go. I have my settings corrected. Um, these settings should not change themselves. If they do, I have a note in my phone to myself to change them back. So if there are problems from here on out, I take no responsibility. It is AT&T, and I will direct you to contact AT&T directly on my behalf. No, I appreciate you all working with me because I know audio issues are not great to deal with. Softer but better. I did turn off the I turned off automatically adjust mic volume, and I can turn that back on and turn myself up. So, okay, I just did that. So I should be a little bit louder now. Let me know if the audio still sounds clear or if that messed anything up. Um, yeah, I changed the automatically adjust sound setting and turned myself up, made myself louder. Let me know if that sounds good. But I will make a note of that now to StreamYard told me to turn that off, which is why I did, but I don't see why that would really affect anything but how loud I am. So I just turned that off. Laura said still clear. Great. And I'm going to say use StreamYard as background noise and manually make mic louder. Okay. Sorry, thank you for sticking with me. I'm just making that note to myself of what settings I have. So we are all good for next week, and there are no further issues. I really appreciate it because I know I've went back and listened to some of the streams, and God bless you all for sticking with me because it can be hard to listen to sometimes when the audio sounds choppy. So I really appreciate it, and thanks for not being afraid to say anything. Hal says much better now. Thank you, Hal. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. I've said this several times, but hopefully the audio issues we have experienced are in the past. Yeah, how's everybody? How's the weather? I don't I don't want it to sound like I've run out of things to say, but I really like the weather, and I don't know. I actually like to talk about the weather, and I don't do it just for small talk. So yeah, that's why I bring up the weather. But I say that because it was really nice the last few days, but it's pretty chilly today. So I've had my heater on most of the day, which I just turned off. Um, my sister's getting married next week, so we've been anxiously watching the weather forecast for her wedding since it's outdoors only. And let me see. I don't know if it's. I think it's currently like you have to check the 15-day forecast. Let me actually see what this says. But yeah, fingers crossed. It's great weather for her wedding. Um, Weddings are always crazy because it's like this is the only day that you're doing this. Some people have it to where they have the option to like do it inside, which is great, but some people are just, roll the dice and it's either outside or what do people even do if there's like rain and it's outside? Do they do it in the rain? Like if they have no other backup plan? Okay, actually, currently, the weather for her wedding looks pretty nice. So, uh, says like it should be low 70s and sunny. So, that would be great weather for a wedding. Um, Rock and Roll Resale said the echo cancellation was causing the echo, ironically. Yeah, maybe it's because I'm gonna guess the settings were designed in StreamYard for like people that are maybe going live with the mic on their computer or the mic on their phone. And because I think like this mic has those things built into it, and like this, it's not a super expensive mic, but it was like $100 to $150. So I think the features were working against each other in the software versus the mic itself. And I think turning them off in the software has helped. So, all of my fingers are crossed, even my thumbs, that we don't have any more audio issues. Green Door Investments says crazy windy in Colorado. Oh yeah, we're supposed to get, when is that? Shoot, it might be tonight. Oh yeah, it is tonight. Yeah, we're supposed to get this crazy wind. I was reading something that said it had like the same air pressure is like almost had the same air pressure as a hurricane, which is like how they measure the strength of hurricanes is the air pressure. So the system that's coming through, we're not supposed to get any severe weather, so it's nothing we need to be worried about, but it's bringing crazy strong winds of like 50 and 60 miles an hour. And it's like not like it's just crazy because we never really get winds like that unless there are severe thunderstorms or tornadoes. So it's just going to be weird to have that without the other severe weather. But anyway, I don't think we're going to get any more snow this year, unfortunately. Well, I mean, there's a small chance, but we're probably done for the year. Well, for this winter, we're done. But I would love to be surprised. Nancy's also a little chilly, high 40s, 50 tomorrow, rain. Yeah, it's a little cloudy here. When I was a kid, I went through a meteorology phase, and I still really love the weather. The two things I wanted to be when I were a kid were one, a mailman, and I really only stopped wanting to be a mailman because, I got made fun of a little bit, and people didn't think it was really ambitious. So I kind of got bullied out of wanting to be a mailman, and then I wanted to be a meteorologist for a little bit. I don't really know what changed. Or yeah, I know what changed actually. In high school, I did really well writing, so I wanted to get more into journalism and do that. But I still love the weather, and it's one of my main interests. Uh, Black Hat Magic said, question, how low are you willing to go for items that have been getting no interest after a long time? Is it better to just end them and maybe sell as a lot? It depends. It depends based off of, or for me, it depends based on what I originally listed the item for, and also like the research behind it and when the last one sold. So there are some markets that are really illiquid in postcards. And what I mean by that is a view from a certain town or a postcard from a certain artist might only sell once every couple of years. And the last one that sold might have been, 5 years ago, and it sold for $200. So in a case like that, I would be a lot more willing to negotiate on price than I would be for a postcard that sells 3 times a month. Because the postcard that sells much more frequently is going to have a much more liquid market and a more fixed value, and you're not going to need to slash the price of that by like 75% because it's easier to know what it sells for. But to give you an example, I had a postcard recently. I actually just sold it this morning. Matter of fact, I just shipped it out today. But it was a postcard of Schlitz Brewery in Milwaukee. I want to say Milwaukee. But some Schlitz Brewery postcards are really common. This one was a really uncommon card. It had it featured a globe and like a woman on top of the globe. And when I listed that one for sale, I only found one of them that had sold for like $200 several years ago. So that is one where I would say it's a very illiquid market and it's hard to know what price it could sell for. And what I do in that, I start it priced really high initially. I think I started it at $250 and I lowered the price over time. And the regular price was down to $150, and it was also on 25% off sale. And someone also sent me an offer of $96, so that's what that card sold for. So if you're just looking at my original price of the card, then that's probably what. Let me see. I can calculate it. I can do math. I used to be able to do math like this in my head, but cannot anymore. Let's see. 250, 96. Okay, so I took $96 for that postcard, which is rounded is 62% off. So on a lot of other cards I list, I'm not going to be willing to take 62% off because I the market is more liquid and the cards sell more frequently, and I have a better idea what the cards are selling for. But for some of those really uncommon cards, I'm willing to negotiate more because there just aren't as many buyers out there for those cards. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, you could also sell them as a lot. If they're like, lower dollar cards, they're just going to sell less frequently anyway. I would say there's not really anything wrong with your price. Maybe it will just take quite a while for that card to sell. But I've had cards that I listed for $20 4 years ago that they just now sell. So it's not necessarily anything wrong with your price. Maybe the right buyer just hasn't come along, or the town or whatever that postcard of just has a really low demand for some reason. Black Hat Music says flood warning for southern Ontario. Yikes. Yeah, that's not good. Southern Ontario. So that would be like Toronto's in southern Ontario, right? Sorry, my Canadian geography is not as good as my US geography. I need to sell more Canadian postcards. And then I'm sure my geography would be better. Nancy said, when the barometric pressure suddenly drops, the eye of hurricane is also on you. Too late to flee or board up. Yeah, I've never experienced. Well, I take that back. We did actually experience a hurricane last year. The one that I forget what it was called. Maria? No, I don't. I'm not good with the names of hurricanes, but the one that came up in the panhandle of Florida and went up through Georgia, that one was actually still a hurricane when it got to us in Georgia, which is kind of crazy. But we were asleep, but it did sound very crazy outside. But yeah, I didn't want to. I don't know. I it was like 3 a.m. when it was getting to us, and I tried to stay up, but I just couldn't do it. And I was like, I gotta go to bed. Surely our house is gonna be here in the morning. It was supposed to be like a category one when it got to us, um, which I think those can do a lot of damage, but those aren't like the house destroyers. At least for us, it wasn't, thankfully. Rock and Roll Resale said, "Do you ever use Pluralsight for RPPC identification?" Yes. I don't use it as frequently as I used to because I've gotten pretty good, or I just have the years of a lot of the stamp boxes memorized. So the most common stamp box that I see is AZO, and I know that if all the triangles are pointed up, that's around 1907 to 1920. Or if there's two triangles pointed up and two pointed down, well, that's like 1918 to 1930. And if you've got the squares in the corners, then that's, 1925 to 1940, I think. But no, I know like the most popular stamp boxes, I know when those were made. DOPS around the 1930s. EKC is usually around the 40s. Kodak is 40s or 50s usually. So I don't go to it as often as I used to, but I'll still check it for more uncommon stamp boxes, because sometimes there are some really cool stamp boxes on the back of photo cards that I've never seen before, which is really neat. I think I've had maybe one or two I found that weren't even on the Playl website, but they have most of them up there, even ones that they don't know what dates they were produced, or they only have a picture of it, and or maybe even like a drawing of it. They have a lot up there. Very good website. Black Hat Music said, yes, Southern Ontario includes Toronto. We have a lot of rivers that can overflow when combined with melting snow and heavy rain. Oh yeah. Yeah, so all the where let me reference a map. uh let's see. I'm gonna look up a map of Canada and the US just so I can get my bearings right and see what state you're next to. Okay. Here we go. Wow, Ontario is quite large. Oh wow, that's crazy. So Ontario borders New York all the way to Minnesota, which I did not know. Quebec is also very large, but I'm sure many people don't really live up in the higher sections, especially of Quebec. Quebec goes way up there. Wow, Hudson Bay is huge. Wow, I promise I have looked at a map of Canada before, but it may have been a while. So yeah, depending on where you are in Ontario. I know I've sent you postcards before. Actually, I think I know where you are in Ontario. I'm not gonna say it obviously, but I think I can look up your. Oh shoot. Let's see. Okay, I think you are. I think if you drove straight south, you would hit Ohio. Is that correct? And also Lake Erie. Well, you'd hit Lake Erie and then Ohio. So you're. I mean, I might have that wrong, but from this map, wow, Ontario is huge. I'm guessing most people in Ontario live closer to New York. Is that right? Um, no, but hopefully you don't get flooded and yeah, they cancel those warnings or the water recedes. But yeah, we've been having the weather's been crazy this last year from experiencing a hurricane here and everything. Uh, P.S. My basement at my old house flooded 2 times, thankfully covered by insurance, but they said that was the last time, so I moved. Yeah, we have insurers like that here too. Yeah, some of them just get out of this area entirely. Like houses in Florida now are very hard to insure, and a lot of insurers are fleeing the state because they're experiencing so many natural disasters. So yeah, not great for insurance to have all of these disasters. Collectibles to Astonish said, I was just watching your video on WorthPoint. Good points. I usually find at least one item on WorthPoint that pays for my grandfathered subscription. Yeah, I've heard rumors of some people having a grandfathered subscription. Unfortunately, I do not, but I pay for it anyway. So, like I said in the video, I do get my money worth out of it. I just think that for most sellers, it's probably not worth it unless you're dealing a higher volume of items. But yeah, if it pays for itself for you, that's awesome. And there are definitely some pros to WorthPoint over eBay product research. One is that it has pictures for everything. So for some reason, it seems like everything I look up on, or half the stuff I look up on eBay product research does not have pictures anymore, which is a big problem when you're trying to make sure a card is the same one that you're listing. But yeah, I use WorthPoint a lot. I definitely still use it every day, and I'm not going to be canceling anytime soon, but it could improve a lot. And ever since eBay started, or ever since eBay bought Terapeak and made their product research feature go back, 3 years now, eBay's been getting closer and closer to WorthPoint. So if tomorrow eBay said, hey, product research now goes back 5 years, I would probably cancel WorthPoint because the further back you go, the less valuable the price information is. And especially, I mean, if something's like 2019 or 2020, that definitely still has some value. But if I'm on WorthPoint and I find that a card I have sold for $50 in 2007, that tells me almost nothing. Because, in 2007, I was a child, and things were a lot different. Yeah, 18 years ago. Wow. But no, I don't. That video, I was probably more frustrated with WorthPoint than I made that video with when I made that video than I am now. If I made that video today, the tone would probably sound a lot different. I don't hate WorthPoint. I just think probably most people don't need it, and bigger volume sellers like me, when I list a, or I try to list 100 a day, it does make sense for me. Black Hat Music said there's a local bookstore that sells postcards sorted by U.S. date and topic. Most are $1. Any suggestion as to what I should look for? Yeah, so I look for certain states. Certain states I really like, certain states I really don't like. Um, I like southern states. I always do well selling them. Earlier the better. Uh, I do pretty good with some Midwestern states, some Northeastern states. I do pretty good with Western states. The only states I really avoid are uh, a handful of Northeastern states and Iowa. I don't like Iowa. I don't know what it is, but I think let's see. I wanna fact check this. Iowa population in 1910. Okay, 2 million. Okay, Georgia. I have a theory, and I'm gonna try and prove it. Okay, well, my theory may be wrong. Let's see. Let's see. Georgia population. 11.18. Okay, what is Iowa's population? Okay, yes, I have proven myself correct. Okay, so my theory with some states, well, actually, I only proved myself correct for Iowa. I'll have to research the other states, but my theory is that states where the population has grown a lot since the early 1900s are better selling states for postcards. So I just looked up. Iowa's one of my least favorite states. I just don't like it, and I don't have good luck selling their cards. In 1910, the population of Iowa was 2.2 million, and today the population of Iowa is 3.2 million. So in 115 years, they have only gained 1 million people. So I am not alone in disliking Iowa. The population graph for Iowa just looks like a flat line. But for Georgia, the population of Georgia in 1910 was 2.6 million, which is slightly more than Iowa's. But the population of Georgia today is 11.18 million. So we have almost 5 times the number of people than we did in 1910. And Georgia is a very good seller of postcards. And I could check every single other state I don't really have great luck with. It's probably going to be more true for some than it is for others. But I think that does definitely, or at least is one indicator of if a state is good selling or not, if the population has significantly increased over time since the postcards were made. Because there's just more demand if there's more people that live in the state. But back to your question, the states I avoid are Iowa, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont. The other northeastern states I do pretty well with. New Jersey, Delaware, Rhode Island, New York I do well with. Maryland I do pretty well with. So those are really the only states I avoid. Every other state, I look for smaller towns. The smaller towns, the better. I've heard of a lot of towns by now. My geography might not be great. I don't know exactly where the towns are located, but there's a lot of towns up in this brain. So yeah, I just look for the smaller towns. Um, I really like southern states and western states like Arizona, New Mexico, Washington, and Oregon. I have really good luck with California a little bit less so. Nevada for sure, especially early stuff. Texas too. So basically, the southern to eastern, or sorry, southern to western corridor of the United States but small towns from any state can do pretty well. That aren't the states that I listed. For some reason, I mean, I know some Massachusetts cards can do well, and some New Hampshire can do well, and some Iowa can do. Like, there's always exceptions, but overall, like, I just avoid buying those states. I don't know what it is. I just don't enjoy it, and it seems like the cards sell much more slowly. But yeah, that's what I look for. Smaller towns mostly. You can also look for topics that sell well. So, you know, roadside street scenes, ballparks, theaters, popcorn stands. There's a lot more. Aviation. I don't want to rattle off every single one, but yeah, you're I have I don't know if you have is you probably have a better feel of what sells for like Canada view cards than US cards, I'm guessing, and I have a much better understanding of US cards than Canada cards, but yeah, I would just look for the smaller towns. I've had other Canadians tell me that Quebec and Ontario are definitely the best selling provinces, so I usually look for small town Quebec and Ontario postcards. And I've found that to be true. The other provinces that, not many people live in, I haven't had great luck selling. So, yeah, let me know if that's true or not. I don't know for sure. That's just what I've heard. Collectibles to Astonish said, "Do you deal with postcards, or sorry, do you only deal with postcards or other ephemera?" Yeah, I only deal with postcards. Every now and then I'll sell the odd piece of ephemera, like a photograph or a uh, what else have I sold? A trade card. Uh, yeah, I don't really deal with anything else. I do get stuff in postcard lots or collections. That's other, ephemera, cabinet cards, photos, stuff like that. But no, I just pass them along to others and don't deal with them myself. I'm sure there is, or I know there is money to be made there, but it's for me. I just want to focus on doing what I love, and I'm at a point where I don't need to sell the other stuff, and am not like desperate for money. So I'm fortunate that I can focus on doing what I like. If that answers your question. All right. I'm probably going to start winding down the stream here, but of course, if you have any more questions, drop them in the chat and I will answer them before I leave. Thank you to everyone for sticking with me. Yeah, British Columbia, I think they also said that. I think I forgot. British Columbia is a fairly populous province, right? If it is, then I probably forgot they said that because they said the most populous provinces were the best selling, and I think they mentioned British Columbia if it is populous, which I think it is. Forgive my ignorance. I do love Canada. uh, but yeah, gonna wind things down here. Hope everybody had a good stream. I have my settings locked in for next week, so hopefully we'll go live next week and we'll have no audio issues and it'll just be incredible and a great experience that will bring us all closer and we'll be, spending time together in auditory bliss. But yeah, I'm gonna go after this. There's this game I've been playing on my iPad. It's a card game. It's gotten very popular over the last year, but it's called, I actually don't know how to pronounce it. Balatro or Balatro. Balatro. Ballad. Balla. Throw. Tro. It's the same. Ballad. Balla. Ballatro. I think it's Ballatro. Balatro. Balatro. Bala. I don't know. Something like that. Balatro. But no, I just figured out there's a setting in the game to speed it up because the animations and stuff can take forever, and I just figured out how to make it faster. So it's going to be a much more enjoyable question for me. And actually, I will answer your question today. Not a problem. She said, "I have a question about whether you track the cost of goods you paid for each card you sell." I don't track it for every single card I sell. What I do is just track like an overall cost of goods. So, and I don't even track necessarily an overall cost per or average cost per. I mean, of course, I can calculate it if I need to, but I just track money in versus money out. So what I'm spending on cards versus what I'm making on cards is what I track, and it's the easiest way to do it. I found it's how I do my taxes, so that's why I track it that way. I don't necessarily suggest you do it that way unless you want to do it the easiest way, because I feel like it is. But yeah, I know some other sellers do track what they paid for every single card, and I did that at first. I have a spreadsheet from when I started selling, and I have the cost of every single card, and whenever one card sold, I would put it in my spreadsheet, and I would put the cost in there and exactly what I made for that card. But yeah, for me, I've gotten to a point where it would just be too much to keep up with that, and yeah, since I'm a cash basis taxpayer, or not cash basis, yeah, cash basis inventory is how I operate my business. So it's just basically money in versus money out. I track what I'm spending on inventory, and I track what I'm making. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. All right, thanks so much for joining me, everybody. Thank you, Hal. I'll have to send you another Rick Geary card, actually. I know. I had someone email me the other day, and I'm having more of them printed, but I'm having my Rick Geary cards printed with a embossed 3D effect, which I think will be really cool. So I'll have to send you one of those, Hal, when I get them in, and I think they said they were delayed, but a couple weeks I should get those in. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Hopefully we don't have any audio issues this week. I know I forgot to do, or I didn't forget. I didn't have time to do a What Sold video yesterday, but I will try to do a What Sold video Monday, and we'll definitely be back live next Tuesday. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a good one.